Welcome to another episode of Sippin Sports. We are here for a kind of more internal behind-the-scenes conversation with Mike Hilbig, who has kind of become my right-hand guy with our largest hotel and full-service hotel in Utah County. Mike, if you want to kind of give yourself a little background and kind of describe the property and all that.
You bet. So my name's Mike Hilbig, as she said. I have been in the hotel industry since 1996. I came down to...
That was when I was born, by the way.
I've been doing it for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, I worked at several Marriotts in Salt Lake. I was on the global sales team for a time where I worked remotely. And then, I came down in Provo 2011. And I absolutely love Provo. I love the Marriott down here, all the groups that we get, obviously working with Abby and all her wonderful coworkers. It's a passion of mine. I think it started early on in my life. My father was an HR manager at Snowbird back in the 70s, and so we as a family would go frequent hotels, either up at Snowbird or did a lot of family vacations all over the country and would stay in just the coolest hotels. And sometime in my early 20s, I thought, I think I want to work at a hotel.
It's a family business at that point.
I started applying for jobs in Salt Lake and landed at the Courtyard Marriott there, worked the front desk for several years, and then transitioned into sales in around 2000 and haven't looked back. It's a passion of mine.
You know what? We love people, the consistency, because you don't see that a lot in hotels. Like there is a lot of turnover because it's not for the weary. It's an intense job. Lots of background for you. Tell us about why you stayed at Provo Marriott.
So I love Provo. Just the fact how quaint the city is. And just being the only full service hotel down here, it's kind of a unique situation for us because we're able to handle a lot larger groups than say some of the smaller properties. But we have full service catering, and we can handle room blocks up to about 300 on peak, and we just have a great staff over there. I think the variety in hotels is what makes me so passionate about it. As you know, there's an organization or an interest group for about everything you can think of.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. We've had some really fun groups over the years, and I think that's just where the passion lies. Is what can we get next? Who can we win to come down to Provo?
And it's kind of been a lot of growth, I would say, in like the last 10, 15 years, like substantially, if not maybe even longer than that. And you've obviously been here through it all, through a couple renovations as well. And how would you describe, like you've said, there's so many variety of organizations that come through and stay at the Marriott. How, with sports specifically, since we are sipping on sports, what kind of started as like the beginning stages of like sports groups coming in? Obviously, you've got BYU as well that's been staying at the property for a while. But
historically, when I got there back in 2011, for many years we would host all of the incoming football teams that played BYU. And that was a blast because you'd have just a great variety of schools and players. And I think one of the standout notable moments that really kind of got my attention is we were hosting Florida State Seminoles, and all of the players came in with these really big, heavy gauge chains around their neck, like the kind of chains that you chain link your fence with, right? And I just remember seeing these guys, walk through the lobby, and they all had these big chains on, and just gigantic football players, and it was fun. It was just really fun to see them. And then, other times we've had teams from like the Midwest, and you get a lot of fans that come in with their 10-gallon cowboy hats and their cowboy boots, and just the sheer variety of different sports teams is fun. It's not uncommon for us, obviously with Utah Valley University, with BYU. There's times we've had two women's teams, two men's teams in the hotel, and it runs the gamut. Soccer, volleyball, baseball, softball, football. Gymnastics, you name it, we've kind of seen it all, and it's really fun. It's just awesome to be able to provide and give the teams the services and the things that they've come to expect. And I always can confidently say we strive to be one of your best hotel stops of your season, and we want to do everything we can to make it great for them. So.
And speaking of the college side of things, obviously that's what was our base bread and butter pretty much for you guys on the sports side of things. And as additional facilities have kind of tapped into like the sports tourism realm of things with like youth sports tournaments and all that kind of stuff, honestly, it's kind of one of my steps that I have to go through now is if it's not public yet, trying to do everything in my power to figure out when is like a home football game or anything like that. And ultimately, if a client or organization is looking for an event, my very first thing is let's double check the BYU football schedule, just because we don't want to conflict with that. We want to see as much availability. And then my next step is to text you, because like he said, we can, based on the weekend, August is a great weekend, a great month, to bring in some business. And you said we could get up to 300 peak potentially, depending on the group. And so, like Mike said, it's no joke. We love working with Mike, and I'll text him maybe once a week, if not sometimes once a day, just to check in on availability on certain groups or how a certain group is doing. So it's exploded a lot recently, especially in like the last 2 years since the Epic Sports Parks opened and stuff like that. What can you describe about seeing that impact of like how things have grown and seeing these massive sports groups with lots of kids, of kids running through the halls and stuff? How have you guys navigated the impact of these teams coming in?
It's it's exciting for us. Just having the Epic Sports Park open and getting to see all of these, the new teams coming into Provo. We welcome them. It's wonderful summertime business for us. Operationally it can be a little bit challenging. The kids have a lot of energy. We've done several things where like we closed off our employee parking in the main level of the hotel, and we said, hey, you kids can come down here, whether they're hockey or soccer, and we just let them run amok down in the parking garage, because they have a ton of energy and they want to, I get it. Look, I grew up in a family of boys, and we have a lot of energy, and you don't want to sit still. So to try to mitigate any issues of having them play in the hallways and stuff, we've tried to open up some of our parking areas and let them play there. It's great summertime business. We love having them. They utilize the outlets, the coffee shop, the restaurant, the bar. It's a very active time in the hotel. Between the parents and the kids and just all the players. Collectively, it's a fun time. There's a lot going on.
And your guys' hotel position is also like literally smack dab in the middle of downtown Provo. So you've got all 70 plus restaurants on that street as well that they can kind of go and stop and walk and in a safe place. I remember we had a client out for a site visit, and she was saying she was staying at your property, and she said, hey, like I went for a run at 8 p.m. at night and it was totally safe and totally fine, and I ran back and grabbed a coffee and it was all good. And it's just insane. She was like, that's not normal that you can do that here. So your guys' location and destination is awesome. Now, final question that I have for you is, how do you navigate like the state of play format? Obviously, like yes, with these massive youth tournaments, like obviously they're filling most of the time filling their large tournament blocks that they're booking well in advance, and there's lots of third-party providers specifically. It's been a fun thing to navigate for us. Like these days it feels like there's like 1,200 different hotel providers, third-party providers that are attached to a client. What is your ideal process, like ideal thing that you're looking for that is really helpful to you to navigate?
It's just, and with some of these groups, as we don't have a ton of history with them. So, my process is I try to give them as many rooms as they need up front, in hopes that they'll fill those rooms. We work with, On Location, Halpern Travel, obviously the big ones, Helms Briscoe and C-Vent and everybody, all the different platforms and things. But really it's just, we try to put our very best foot forward and give them as many rooms as they need. And that's the nice thing is, half our hotel is rooms with 2 queen beds, the other half is kings and pullouts, and then we even have some rooms that have double queens and a pull-out bed, which are really player friendly, I think.
Yes, they love those.
Because it puts them close to the pool and the workout room and everything. But it's fun getting to know some of the new contacts you've been able to pull in for us, and it's a good time. We welcome them. We're excited about the future of Provo and sports in general, and just everything that we have coming. Because sometimes it's a little bit of a slow start, or it can be, but I feel like you've gotten things rolling pretty fast and furious.
I was just with another client for a site visit yesterday. He was just up in Salt Lake for a camp and came down to just do a quick day visit with us. And we actually had Scott Henderson, the city manager, come out along with some of the Provo City rec team. And they were just discussing, like, we're not used to the fact that this has exploded in the way that it has. And we're trying to keep up and, you know, trying to expand. Obviously, we've got phase 2 of the Epic Sports Park pending that, you know, will be growing even more, which is exciting but also terrifying because we're trying to figure out how to navigate that too. So yeah, just the explosion. So we appreciate you accompanying us and battling through the growth like crazy, and yeah, excited for the growth, and you know, just can't wait to see what other groups that we can bring in. So thanks so much for coming, Mike. Hopefully your coffee has been good. It's 8 a.m. guys. Like, there's a time and a place. This is also just water. I'm like, I need to rehydrate here, but we appreciate it. We'll see you on the next episode of Sippin Sports.
Thank you for having me.